What is up, guys? EvilDuosArm here today, and today I have for you a video where we're going to be looking at the piercing stat in Blade and Soul. So in this video, I'm going to cover everything you really want to know about the piercing stat, what the breakpoints are, what it does, all that great stuff. We're going to go ahead and get into it right now. So first things first, what is the piercing stat? So the piercing stat is a stat in Blade and Soul that determines how much of your opponent's defense you basically ignore when you go ahead and attack them. So as you can see, your piercing stat is a number, and then that number correlates to a percentage. So the number that I'm at of 1030 right now is exactly 12% defense piercing. I don't know why it works out like that, but that's cool. Anyway, so basically what this means is that I'm going to neglect 12% of my opponent's resistances or defenses when I go ahead and start fighting them. Which is pretty nice amount. So the real question is, what are the breaking points, or how much piercing do you need to basically be doing your maximum DPS at all times against all different bosses? So this once again is only focusing on the PvE aspect of piercing. PvP wise, the piercing stat is a hugely important stat that you should have a good amount of, because it does resist or ignore the majority of your opponent's defense, or you can ignore a large portion of your opponent's defense, increasing your damage against people and increasing your overall victory rate in 6v6 PvP. But that's not what we're talking about in this video. We're talking about PvE only, or mainly getting at the PvE bit, and for that I went ahead and created a spreadsheet. So before I get into that though, let me tell you my methods on determining the spreadsheet and all that good stuff here. Basically, as you see right here on the chat log, if you hit the combat tab, you can see how much damage all of your skills did, or whatever skill you used did. For this testing, I used Dark Shot. Dark Shot is my right mouse button on my gunslinger, and all that great stuff. I made sure to take off my soul so I wasn't getting false crit procs. I made sure to take off my outfit so I removed my soul shield and didn't have any impact with that. And basically, I also picked up some Yeti Soul Shield pieces to get different, and infuse them with piercing to go ahead and get different values for piercing, to test different values of piercing. I made sure that my weapon didn't get any procs or anything when I was doing it, which was a pain. I had to spend a lot of time doing this. So those are my methods, so to make sure that everything was accurate and I didn't do anything wrong that made anything skewed the wrong way. So with that being said, let's head over to the spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet, you know I love spreadsheets. Basically what I did is I tested the piercing stat at different values, at different APs, with different crit percents and all that great stuff, and determined an expected dark shot damage based on the equations that I showed you in my last video on the elemental damage. Determined my expected dark shot damage, and then my recorded average dark shot damage by just straight up attacking. These were done on different mobs, which I found out later is not the case anyway, so don't even worry about too much about this. But basically what I found out by doing this is that, as you can see right here, our net difference value stays standard at certain points. So if we don't meet a threshold, we're stuck at this number, and if we do meet a threshold, we get up to a higher net increase in our damage. So as you can see, it's about 4% increased at this magical threshold, the breaking point, which was 10% against the mob I was fighting. So that made me think, alright, so does every single mob in the game have a different threshold? So what I did is I went ahead and fought several different bosses and did some basic calculations by calculating the hits. So what did I have to do to these? I just attacked it, took my non-critic damage. These are non-crit hits on Dark Shot. I made sure that I got no procs, like I was saying before, anything like that, to go ahead and make these calculations. So the first one I did was with 12% piercing, which is what you saw in the video, or right at the start here, the amount of piercing that I have. And as you can see here, up until Xanos, 12% piercing lets you do your maximum damage. That's why I have it highlighted in green. Once you hit to Vulbaris, Juropu, which I spelled his name wrong, he's got another U in here. Whoopsies! Juropu, Numok, Moyun, Raven King, they all do about the same damage, 7,400 to 7,500 damage on a right mouse button. Non-crit, no buffs, no anything like that. So that made me realize, okay, so these guys have their own little breaking point, and these guys have their own breaking point. So let me try 19% and see what happens. So I bumped it up to 19% with those Yeti Soul Shield pieces, which is also why my damage drops tremendously, because I'm losing my effect on my my VT temple effect, or yeah, all that good stuff. So basically, as you can see, at 19%, I do just about the same damage on a Dark Shot all the way across, 5,600, 5,550, 5,600, all the way across for all enemies. So that means, safe to say, that 19% is more than enough more than enough piercing percentage to go ahead and do maximum DPS, or your maximum damage. So I said, alright, let's try 2%, which is basically just my Raven weapon on. Take off my necklace and go ahead and do the calculations. So I already know that these guys have their own breaking points, so I need to worry about those. So I tested from Lord of Flame to Xanos. And Lord of Flame to Xanos, you see I get a defense drop, which means that Lord of Flame and Xanos have a different breaking point. So it's safe to say that the Lord of Flames, it is about 11%, 10% piercing damage is all you need. Lord of Flame is Desolate Tomb, by the way. So Desolate Tomb, Naru Foundry, I'm assuming, is the same. To go ahead and get maximum damage against those bosses. So from all the way from the bottom up to Naru Foundry, it's safe to say that 10% piercing is enough to do your maximum damage. Xanos, which is also including Ebon Drake Lair, Naru Sanctum, and Iron Tech Forge, all are going to have a different value or a different percentage of piercing that you need to go ahead and get maximum damage against those guys. And then we also see that at the 2%, all of the bosses past that, so Vorberis, Drupu, Numak, Moya, and Raven King, all have their own breaking point, and they all stay standard across as well, which basically means these guys have their own percentage. Xanos has its own percentage that's different than the Lord of Flame. So there's 3 different tiers, basically, of piercing that you need. So I went and tried 15% to see if that is enough to get me all the way across. And now that I know what my tier breaking points are, all I've got to do is test around those. So I need to confirm that at Raven King I'm still doing maximum, and I need to confirm at Volberis that I'm still doing maximum, which I am, and maximum is determined by fighting the Lord of Flame, Desolate Tomb, and maximum was determined to be 7,400. So yes, I hit 7,400 all the way across the board, which means 15% is the piercing stat you need to be doing maximum DPS for the entirety of the game, for everything that is in the NA and EU versions, excluding Temple of Elysium, Vortex Temple, whatever you want to call it, because I have no way of testing that. It's not in the training room. I can't get those numbers. I can do it next time we have a raid, and I can maybe make a little addendum, but I'd expect it to be pretty similar to these stats anyway. So, with that being said, Xanos, I'm going to guess, probably has about a 13% piercing stat breaking point that you need. Lord of Flame is at 10%, and then Volberis and up is going to be at 15% piercing rate that you need to go ahead and get maximum DPS. So real quick, how can you get bonus piercing really easily? What are some easy ways to do it? If you hit U on your character menu and you go over to your bonus attribute stat here, you can see there's actually a piercing tab that you get piercing bonus points for from completing different dungeons and bosses and all that crud. So you can get some bonus piercing like that. Also, another super easy way to do it is to just go ahead and infuse a piece of your soul shield with some piercing, which I think I'm going to do, because doing some quick math, by uninfusing the critical piece that I have right here, which is only 190, if I put a piercing piece on it, I think I do end up getting a little bit more DPS. Some more math I need to do. But basically, like I said, guys, 15% is good enough to do everything in this game with your maximum DPS. So you should be shooting for a 15% piercing damage. Anyway, guys, I hope you found the video useful. I hope it shows you how the game works, or a little bit more on the math and all of that great stuff. If you did like the video, make sure to leave a like. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, get on that. I really do appreciate the support, guys. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video. Peace.